Welcome back to our channel, everyone. I have to tell you, my heart just aches so deeply when I look at what is happening with the younger generation in Port Charles right now, especially when it comes to Danny Morgan and his sweet sister, Scout. Family is supposed to be the one safe harbor in a storm, the one place where you feel completely loved and understood. But right now, watching the way they are being forced apart is genuinely painful for me to witness. These two share such a beautiful, undeniable bond, a connection that should be nurtured and protected at all costs. Instead, they are being treated like pawns in an adult game of bitterness and resentment. It completely shatters my heart to see siblings who just want to be part of each other's lives having to jump through impossible hoops just to share a simple moment together. When I look at Drew Kane these days, I honestly feel a profound sense of frustration and disappointment. I remember a time when Drew was someone we could all root for, a man of honor who seemed to understand the true value of family and loyalty. But lately, his behavior has taken a dark and troubling turn. He is completely consumed by this deep-seated jealousy and hatred toward Jason Morgan, and he is letting that toxic rivalry poison every aspect of his life. The fact that he is projecting all of his anger onto innocent children is something I simply cannot accept. Drew knows perfectly well that his resentment is based on his own insecurities and his belief that his family abandoned him, even though the reality of the situation is far more complicated. Yet, he refuses to look in the mirror and heal his own wounds, choosing instead to punish his daughter and her brother. Poor Scout is bearing the absolute heaviest burden in all of this. And it makes me so emotional just thinking about what she is going through on a daily basis. Can you imagine being a young, developing girl and feeling like your own father is acting as your prison warden? She does not feel loved and protected. She feels trapped, suffocated, and entirely cut off from the people who bring her comfort. She has described feeling almost abused by the sheer level of control Drew exerts over her every move. This goes so far beyond normal, everyday helicopter parenting. It is as if Drew has placed a heavy, invisible leash around her neck, pulling it tight the second she tries to step toward the people she loves. Every child needs breathing room to grow, but Scout is being denied even the most basic freedoms because of her father's unchecked paranoia. What really brings tears to my eyes is realizing how desperately Scout misses her maternal family. She just wants to spend time with her grandmother, Alexis Davis, and her aunt, Molly Lansing Davis. For a young girl navigating the confusing years of adolescence, having the strong, loving presence of a grandmother and an aunt is absolutely essential. The Davis women represent a vital connection to her roots, a comforting embrace that she desperately craves. Drew's decision to build a wall between Scout and these wonderful women is not just unfair, it is incredibly cruel. He is isolating her from a profound source of unconditional love simply because he cannot get past his own selfish grievances. I just want to reach through the screen and give Scout a massive hug, telling her that she is not alone and that her feelings are completely valid. Thank goodness for Danny Morgan, because that young man is stepping up in a way that makes me so incredibly proud. Danny sees the pain in his sister's eyes, and he refuses to just stand by and let it happen. I love seeing this fierce, protective, big brother energy coming from him. He knows that he is up against an intimidating adult, but his love for Scout is so much stronger than his fear of Drew's anger. When Danny realized how miserable Scout was, he knew he had to take action, and that is when he made what I consider to be one of the smartest and most resourceful decisions we have seen in a long time. He went looking for someone who knows exactly how to handle impossible, controlling parents, and he found the absolute perfect ally. Bringing Charlotte Cassadine into this secret plan is a stroke of pure genius, and I found myself cheering out loud when I realized what Danny was doing. If there is anyone in Port Charles who understands what it is like to be kept away from a parent or a loved one, it is Charlotte. I remember so vividly the time she had to be incredibly clever and secretive just to maintain a relationship with her own father when her mother did not approve. Charlotte has practically written the manual on how to fly under the radar and outsmart watchful adults. She is sharp, she is observant, and she has a deep well of empathy for what Scout is going through. Seeing these teenagers band together, forming their own little support system because the adults in their lives are failing them, is both deeply inspiring and terribly sad. The logistical nightmare they are facing, however, is enough to make anyone anxious. Drew is watching Scout like a hawk, and his level of surveillance is honestly terrifying. If Scout is trying to relax at the Metro Court pool, Drew is right there, hovering over her shoulder, making sure she does not speak to anyone he has banned from her life. I cannot help but think that if it were not summer vacation, he would probably have people following her through the hallways at school. It is a suffocating environment, and it makes planning a secret rendezvous incredibly difficult. Charlotte knows that they cannot just meet up at a coffee shop or a park because Drew's eyes are everywhere. They have to find a location that is entirely off the grid, a place where Drew would never think to look. Naturally, the idea of the Quartermain Island came up, and I instantly thought it would be the perfect sanctuary for them. The island out on the lake has always been a place of secrets and hidden moments in Port Charles history. It is secluded, quiet, and far away from the prying eyes of the city. For a moment, it seemed like the ideal solution. Danny and Scout could finally have a long, uninterrupted conversation, share a hug, and just be normal siblings for an afternoon. But of course, nothing in this town is ever that simple, and past mistakes always have a way of coming back to haunt you at the worst possible times. I could not help but shake my head when I remembered the issue with the speedboat. Danny, in a classic teenage moment of poor judgment, managed to wreck the motorboat a while back. Because of that mistake, he is now strictly forbidden from using it, completely cutting off their easiest mode of transportation to the island. It is such a relatable, frustrating obstacle. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you do not have the keys to the boat, you are stuck on the shore. I felt so bad for Danny in that moment because he is trying so hard to be the hero for his sister, but his own past actions are tying his hands. It just adds another layer of tension to an already stressful situation. Now, you might think, why does Scout not just swim across to the island from the Quartermain boathouse? She is certainly capable of it, but this is where Drew's manipulative nature really makes my blood boil. Drew has explicitly forbidden Scout from swimming at the Quartermain property, and the excuse he uses is just sickening to me. He blames it on the traumatic memories of his wheelchair accident that happened there the last time. Using a past trauma, a so-called accident, as a weapon to control his daughter's present movements is a deeply toxic parenting tactic. I am honestly appalled that he would play on his daughter's sympathies and fears just to keep her confined. It shows just how far he is willing to go to maintain his absolute authority over her life. Despite all these massive roadblocks, Charlotte is not someone who gives up easily, and that is why I adore her character so much. Since the island plan is currently stalled and the leash around Scout's neck is pulled so tight, Charlotte realizes they need a brilliant decoy. Drew might be paranoid, but even he cannot easily forbid Scout from having a normal, innocent girls' day out with a friend. Charlotte's plan to arrange a one-on-one activity with Scout is so clever, it gives Scout a legitimate, Drew-approved reason to leave the house and get out from under his constant gaze. Once they are alone, away from the surveillance, they can finally put their heads together and figure out the next phase of this risky operation. As much as I am rooting for these kids, I am also sitting here with a knot of anxiety in my stomach because this plan is incredibly dangerous and could backfire in the most spectacular way. We all know how explosive Drew's temper can be, especially when he feels he has been crossed or deceived. If he catches wind that Danny is sneaking around with Scout and that Charlotte is the one facilitating it, the fallout will be absolutely catastrophic. Drew will view it as the ultimate betrayal, and I genuinely fear that his reaction will be to lock Scout down even tighter, perhaps completely isolating her from the outside world. The stakes are so incredibly high for these teenagers. They are playing with fire, and the burns could last a lifetime if they make even one tiny mistake. Looming over all of this, of course, is the shadow of Jason Morgan. Drew's irrational hatred for his brother is the very foundation of this entire mess. I cannot help but wonder what Jason will do when he inevitably finds out about all of this. Jason is not a man of many words, but his protective instincts regarding his children are legendary. If he discovers that Drew is treating Scout like a prisoner and forcing Danny to act like a secret agent just to see his sister, Jason is not going to just sit back and watch. The collision course between Drew and Jason feels totally unavoidable at this point, and when that explosion happens, the collateral damage is going to be immense. I just pray that Danny and Scout do not end up getting caught in the crossfire of their father's bitter war. As I wait for the next episodes to air, I find myself completely emotionally invested in this storyline. It is a classic tale of love trying to survive in the face of overwhelming control and bitterness. I want so badly to see Danny and Scout share a genuine, happy moment together. I want to see Scout laugh with her grandmother Alexis and Aunt Molly without looking over her shoulder in fear. I want Drew to wake up and realize that his jealousy is destroying the most precious thing he has in this world. Until then, I will be watching every single move Charlotte, Danny, and Scout make, hoping their bravery pays off. It is storylines like this, full of heart, tension, and family drama, that keep me coming back to Port Charles day after day, completely captivated by the lives of these characters I have grown to love so much.